Hello, I'm out in the mines at the moment and I wanted to make a video talking about my little brother. Now, my little brother is 15 years old. He's still living in New Zealand and he lives with my mum. Over the last few weeks, me and my mum, we've been talking about his future. Where do we see him being a better version of himself or having a better life? Now, I grew up in New Zealand most of my life. I grew up in South Auckland. I didn't leave New Zealand until I was 20 years old. I enjoyed that. It was a good experience. I got 5 years work experience from when I was 15 to 20 for me to be able to set myself up when I did come to Australia. And I came to Australia on my own. No family, no help, nothing. So I came over here on my own and it was a great experience. And it was really good to see what the economies and the work scope and all of those sorts of things and how different it is over here compared to New Zealand. Now, if I was my brother's age, 15 years old, I was asking myself, would I have wanted to start working in Australia and start in the trades or working with cranes or doing whatever I was, or would have wanted to start in New Zealand? To me, the answer was simple. It was Australia by a mile, by a long shot. The money here, the opportunity, the amount of work, cost of living, all of these things to me were much better in Australia. To other people that might be a little bit different, but from my experience, and I do well with numbers, I know how to do math, so depends what type of areas you're in. I'm in WA, Western Australia, and my brother wants to be a spark, okay, and which is a great trade, especially as there's AI coming around the corner. You've got AI going hard in these industries, and it's probably one of the best things you can do is become a sparky, low key, with all of that stuff coming around the corner. So my brother wants to be a sparky, and I want him to come over here. I want him to move to Australia while he's 15 or 16 or whatever. I'll look after him or what, and I want him to start his apprenticeship over here, not in New Zealand, in Australia, because I feel like in the long term it'll be a much better place to have your qualifications and everything set up. New Zealand's a beautiful place, don't get me wrong, and I love it, but the cost of living there and the wages and opportunities just as good as what you'd get over here in WA, Western Australia. And Western Australia is absolutely beautiful, as well as New Zealand. They're both beautiful countries. They both have a lot to offer, but from my experience and from my opinion, Australia is probably the better option. So me and my mum, we've been talking about this for quite a while, and we want my little brother to come over here, and I think that's the plan. At first he wasn't too keen, but I think he's come around to the idea now, and I think he's all for it. You know, he's kind of keen to come over here to Australia and start a new life, which I think is great, because if I was 15 years old and I had an older brother that was 23 and he was giving me all these tips and tricks, I would ran home with it. That's what I'm thinking right now. I was a menace as a child, so who actually knows bother coming over here. I lived here when I was a kid, when I was like 6 years old, 5 years old in Brisbane. I don't remember much, obviously it was a lot different back then, and we were living on the east coast, so I've changed that up and we're coming in WA. WA has so much opportunity, bro, and that's where I think my brother's gonna thrive so much. He can make new friends over here, can start a new life. I came over here when I was 20 and I've made it work, and I've found the right people and I'm hanging out with, so I think he'll really enjoy it as well, which is great. And I can't wait to bring him over here, especially my mum when she's ready, and just create a better life for ourselves. This country saved my life on another level, and I've already talked about this in a few videos. Genuinely, this country has saved my life, and I'm forever grateful that I was able to come here. Especially as Kiwis, we don't need the visas and all of these sorts of things. We have working rights whenever we come here, so we're extremely lucky to have that. But we've earned that. We're ANZAC. We fought in the trenches, the English front line, and we both fought with each other, brothers in arms, so we've earned that right. I feel like the Australians are okay with it to a certain extent. Obviously there's a lot of people abusing that system, which I don't agree with, but I feel like majority of Australians, Kiwis, with open arms, which is great. I want my brother to come over here, he's 15, and then I want my mum to eventually come as well. I want him to do his apprenticeship over there in Australia, and I think that'll be the best option for him, rather than doing an apprenticeship in New Zealand. He can go back home whenever. Home will always be home, but I feel like if you're starting an apprenticeship, Australia's probably a better option, bro, especially money wise. But yeah, that's my opinion. My brother's coming to Australia.